Okay, so it says write the linear equation in slope-intercept form, and it's a negative 6x plus 4y equals a negative 7. Okay, so that's not the slope-intercept form, that's a standard form. Okay, so all we're doing is rewriting it so it's in this format, and that format is this one. Okay, so that's how they want it. Okay, so it's written like this. So now we got to use our algebra to get the y by itself, because they want it with the y by itself. So when I take this to the other side, it's going to change from a positive or a negative to a plus positive. And we just switch this up over. Okay, last step to get the y by itself. Divide by 4. When we do that, we have to do it to everything that is on the other side. Okay. Now the y is by itself. So the only thing that you need to do from here is if it can go in there evenly, like these fractions, like say you had 3 over 3, reduce it to 1. Okay. This one we can't reduce, right? Because 4 and 7, there's nothing in common there. But this one I could reduce. What could I reduce that to? 3 over 2, right? Divide it by 2 on each one. Okay. This is not wrong. It's just not the way the answer will be read, so whoever's grading their paper might not catch that. Okay, so as long as this is reduced, you'll get what's on the answer sheet. So it's 3 over 2x minus 7. Okay, so again, this is not wrong, we just might not catch that we didn't reduce. Okay, so all we did was rewrite it. Okay, now I want to point out something because this is going to happen at the very end, the very last question that we're doing. Notice that in this format, you can have fractions. Okay, you've never, in any of the ones that you did in the one we just took tests on, and this one right here, you don't have fractions. So when it's in standard form, you can't have fractions. Why can we have it in this form with fractions? What part in that equation has to be a fraction? The slope, the rise over the run, right? So that's why you can have fractions there. Up here, we don't have slope. Okay, so that's why we don't have fractions in that. Okay, and we're going to talk about that on the very last problem. Okay, so number 8. Writing this out. Similar, very similar to the last one, it's just written strangely. Instead of in standard form, they just have it all squished to one side. Okay, so write the linear equation in slope-intercept form. So remember slope-intercept, slope-intercept, so that means it has slope in it. Okay, we want it like this. Okay, so we've got the negative 3x minus 5y plus 9 equals 0. So we want to get the y by itself. So we need to move this guy to the other side and this guy to the other side. Okay, so I would have a negative 5y equals, this is going to change to what? Positive. Good. Okay, and then that's going to change to a negative. Now, the only thing to be careful of, I don't know because I haven't seen like all of them yet, is if this was a different number other than 0, then when you move it to the other side, you would need to combine it with that number, right? But 0 is not going to change it. Okay. So if it was like 10, then you go 10 minus 9, so this would be 1. Okay. All right, last step.
Divided by 5.
Divided by negative 5. So it doesn't switch signs. Okay, it's just because multiply and divide, you take the sign. Okay, so that goes away. I've got my y by itself. It really doesn't matter where the negative's at, just as long as you have one negative, it'll be read as negative through this. Okay, x. But this one, how do you think it's probably going to be read? Positive, because you have a negative over negative. Okay. There's nothing we can simplify in these. None of them have any common factors. Okay, to reduce them. Okay, just other than the negative or negative will be put as a positive when we say yes. It's not wrong if you left it as negative, negative, just wouldn't be read that way. You're okay so far? Easier? Okay, almost done. finish. So highlighted. Yep. Okay, so write an equation in slope-intercept forms. We're still working with slope-intercept. Okay, of a line with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of a -6. Okay, where am I putting the 2? For the underside, right? Putting the 2 there, the x doesn't get replaced. Okay, and then the y-intercept is what? The b part, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So this is where it crosses the y-axis. That's the y-intercept. So all you're doing on problems like this is just putting them where they're supposed to be. You're not moving anything. You're just making sure you've got them in the right spot and you have your x and your y in there. Pretty easy, right? Mind blown, huh? Okay. One more after this one.
I don't see how we.
I know.
Together.
Sure that makes sense. The order they had on there. Write the standard form of the equation of a line with the slope of 3 and the y-intercept 5. So this is like the last one, but they don't want it in slope-intercept. They want it in standard. So you'll have to pay attention when we're doing these, which one they want. Okay, so catching this is they want standard. So they want us in the end to have it where the x and the y are together on one side, okay? But using this slope and y-intercept is not this formula, okay? It's the other one that we just wrote, okay? So I would write that as y equals what? 3x plus 5. Okay, because it gave a slope and intercept, this is slope-intercept form, right? So we plug it into that one, and then do what to get to this one? Is all you have to do is bring the 3x over to the other side, right? Because it has the x and the y together. So the positive 3x will change to a negative 3x. We didn't have to move the y, we didn't have to move the 5, so they stay the same. So that's the only added extras. Okay. Now again, these are the ones that I have to read backwards because it could be a positive, negative, negative, but more likely you'll have that first one. Okay. Last one. And this will be your hardest one in this section, I believe. Not hard, but just harder than the other ones. Okay, so we're writing the linear equation in standard form, and right now it's in the slope-intercept form. Okay, so this is the one that I was talking about, that at the very beginning, for you to catch this, is that we can have fractions when we have y equals, okay, but here we can't, okay? So all we're doing on this is we need to get rid of the fractions first before we move things. So you would have learned this if you had iMath. There's a way to get rid of, because we don't like to work with fractions, is to multiply the whole thing by the common denominator, okay? Which is going to be 4, okay? So we've got y equals 3/4 x plus 7/4. So the only denominators they gave us was 4. Okay, so I put 4 on the outside. Now, what if this was 4 and 3? Then what would I multiply the whole thing by?
3.
If it was 4 and 3, 12, right? So you multiply 12 on the outside. So okay, don't just, I'm going to pick 4. We pick 4 on this one because that's the only denominators that are there. Okay, so I'm going to distribute to all of it. Okay, so I distribute the first one, which would be 4y. When I distribute to here, remember, what do I get?
Can't you multiply them each on top and bottom?
You can do top and bottom, but there's actually, the reason why we're doing this, because it gets rid of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
These would cross cancel and it would just leave 3x. Okay, if you don't remember that when you review that in algebra, if you went 4 times 3, that would give you 12, right? And then 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you'll still get the same thing as long as you're simplifying. Okay, anybody want to guess what the next one is? 7. Okay, so the 4's would cross cancel, it just leaves what's on top. You don't catch that. 4 times 7 is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. Okay, they want it in standard. So standard has the x and the y together on one side. So one last step. Right. Move that over to the other side. So it's negative 3x plus 4y. Okay, so that'll be your hardest, just fractions, little extra steps in there. But shouldn't be anything, yeah, it's exhausting. Okay, so we are grading these today. They're fairly easy and fairly quick. Most of them you look at it, write the answer. Like you don't even have to move it. So I'll show you, like on the very first one that you're doing. Now remember, you're crossing some of these off. I'll say what they are unless you're looking it up yourself. Okay, crossing off. 1, 2, 7, 8, and 10. Okay, so this is an example of what I'm saying. Some of these are like so fast to do. If you look at number 3, they're asking you what is the slope. So like you're not doing anything. You just gotta read the problem and write the answer. Like you're not. So these are pretty quick as long as you can read. Maybe. Okay. So grading these towards the end doesn't take very long to grade.